I've given you now two clear biblical foundational scriptures to help you to know that every single yoke of your foundations can be shattered and destroyed by fasting. Okay, now let me give you another premise from the Bible. Matthew 17 verse 15. I'm just laying foundations. It says, a father came to Jesus and said, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic. Now that word lunatic is made up of two Latin words, lunatic. The word luna in Latin means moon. That's where we get the lunar cycles. Moon. Tick means attack. Moon attack. Whether you know it, you don't know it, what witches and wizards specialize upon is what we call moon magic. They project into the sun and the moon and the stars and the heavenly bodies to frustrate people's destinies. They project and call the name of people and offer sacrifices to attack people. And that was what this young man, in fact, anybody who suffers from epilepsy, it is witchcraft attack. That child is suffering from moon attack. There are a lot of things there. Now, if you come from a family, a foundational family of witchcraft, where witches, wizards, sorcerers, native doctors are in your foundation, which incidentally is actually practically everybody here under my voice. Because if your father was not one, your grandfather may have likely been one, or your great-grandfather. You've got to trace back to 4 generations for you to be free from the issues of foundations. And you discover you don't become a sorcerer except you're a very high-ranking witch. If your father or grandfather or great were what we call native doctors. Native doctors are highest-ranking wizards, and they have gone far in all of these things. Now, what was the solution? What did Jesus declare to be the solution for the boy suffering from moon attack? Chapter 17, the same chapter 17. Look at verse 21. Howbeit, this kind does not go out, but by what? Prayer and fasting. So if you come from a foundation, witchcraft is everywhere. You come from a foundation where it's not easy. It's not easy. You come from a really thick foundation of wickedness. I've given you now three scriptures, 3 bases to let you to know that fasting and prayer is what you need to really give yourself to dismantle evil foundations of witchcraft. I listened to a brother who was sharing his own story of how his own grandfather was a very high-ranking sorcerer. Now, when we talk about high-ranking sorcerers, you've got to understand there's a hierarchy in witchcraft. The lowest level is witchcraft. Then you have wizards, and then you have sorcerers. And before you become a sorcerer, you have literally killed thousands of human. You have filled blood banks. Now, this man, his grandfather was a high-ranking sorcerer. He said that while he remembers when he was yet a young child, he physically witnessed his grandfather would disappear and appear. Brother, before you get to that dimension, the energy, the psychic energy that is needed for you to appear and disappear, it is blood. It is blood that supplies that type of energy, not any blood, human blood. And for somebody to operate in those dimensions, there are so many souls that have gone. And that was his grandfather. When the grandfather died, he was actually the favorite to his grandfather. And the grandfather was grooming him. And it was his father who now took over, but he wanted to bypass the father and hand over to his grandson. But because of law, he had to hand over to he saw his father was also highly in that dimension. But Within him, something within him rebelled and repelled these wicked things they were doing. And he just found himself running away from his father's house, ran to Lagos to start life afresh. Disconnected completely, didn't let his father or anybody know where he was going to, started life all over again. And while he was starting life afresh in Lagos, he stumbled into a deeper life church, became born again, soundly born again. And when he became born again, he loved God, was serving God with all of his heart and passion and strength, but he discovered that nothing was working in his life. Everything is abnormally tough. He said, God, what is this? Why is my own like this? And he decided to go to one of these prayer mountains that they have in Lagos, and physical mountain. He climbed that mountain for some weeks and went without food to cry unto God, Father, what is the problem? And as he was in that mountain for weeks, he only heard one word. What was that word? Psalms chapter 11, 3. If the foundation of the righteous is destroyed, not foundation, foundations is. If your foundation, your father, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, if your foundation, I hope you know that everybody here, if you're married, you have the foundation of, like me, I have my father, grandfather, great-grandfather. I'm the fourth generation foundation. Then I am married. My wife I also have a mother. The foundations of my mother is also 4. The foundation of my wife's mother is also 4. So every child of God, if you are married, you in foundations to deal with. And Satan can fight you from, am I communicating? From any of the 16 foundations. And as a child of God, Satan has legal ground to fight you. If any of these 16 foundations, there is idolatry, there is witchcraft, there is sorcery, there is high levels of immorality, he has a legal ground to fight you to a standstill. And you may be born again, filled with the Holy Ghost, loving God, and you're wondering, why is my own? Now, that is what happened to this brother. And in the mountain, God gave him Psalms 11, verse 3, if the foundations of the righteous is destroyed, what shall the righteous do? Now, this was way back in the 1970s when there was not much light and teaching on foundational deliverance. And that meant that he, as a brother, he had to do the research by himself. Many of you in this generation, you don't know how lucky and fortunate you are. That there is so much light, there's so much revelation, that anybody in this generation who is not free from foundational problem, you have only yourself to blame. Because we have light everywhere. Now, this brother, there was no such revelation. He was the one who had to do his own personal research. And after doing his personal research, he started to declare personal fastings, confessing and repenting of the sins of his father, grandfather, and all of that. And that was how, because of his genuine and sincere heart, all those yokes were being broken, and he came out and started to rise. Sir, you will rise.